A pilgrimage, long or short, demands preparation. Preparation, both physical and spiritual. Also, knowing the historical context of what you are about to undertake helps you understand the countless pilgrims who have come before you, going all the way back to the Middle Ages. Welcome to the Via Francigena. Bound by time restrictions, I start my journey in the picturesque town of Lucca, roughly 410 kilometres from Rome. Taking my time, I try to absorb the new settings, the new pace, and the new feelings of solitude on the road. Something that strikes one immediately in Italy is the scale of their religious architecture, like the church of St. Quirico Anguellita in Caponori, which began construction in the 12th century. Breaking away from the towns and entering into more rural settings, I eventually come across the very well preserved remains of a Roman road. A little further down the trail, I reach a milestone which was once part of another ancient pilgrimage route, the Via Francesca, which coincides with the Francigena. After a few days, I eventually reach San Miniato, taking the opportunity to change into some fresh clothes, and then visit the church of St. Francis, which was connected to the hostel I was staying in. The nave contains numerous works dating back to the 17th and 18th century, adorning the walls and emphasising the grandness of the structure. The weather over the past few days had been so bad that not only had I got completely drenched, including everything in my bag, but any attempt to film was made impractical. On top of this, the waters of the Elsa River I was supposed to cross the following day on my way to Monteriggioni had flooded, making crossing dangerous. What is it they say? The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. After a refreshing beer in Strove, I continued my journey to the small settlement of Abbadia di Isola, 3 kilometres shy of Monteriggioni, to get my head down for the night, ready for an early start the following morning. The medieval town of Monteriggioni has seen much turmoil over the years, but today it demonstrated nothing shy of Tuscan beauty. Unfortunately, the footage between Monteriggioni and Siena is lost. But trust me when I say that it was so busy you wouldn't have seen the buildings and ornate architecture for the crowds of people that had amassed there. But just look at the morning mist and gentle rising sun. For me, a wonderful reminder of how beautiful this world truly is. I can't tell you how pleased I was to reach Radicofani, the official halfway point of the journey, and also the 13th century church of St. Peter, which, with nothing but candlelight, created a womb-like interior of warmth and security, away from all of the drizzle and mist outside. On journeys like these, days seem to bleed into one another, only punctuated by the odd rural church or shrine dedicated to the Virgin Mary, often conjuring the thought, what is this journey all about? I noticed a huge disparity between the towns and countryside, between the hours of solitude and buzz of a busy highway. And then it struck me. Life's road is never straight. It's filled with lumps and bumps, potholes, and roots to trip you up. But what would our lives be without these obstacles? Very boring, I would imagine.
I'm just leaving Montefiascone, and last night I stayed with the sisters at the convento, the convent. I don't think I can even find the words to describe how touching that experience was. Women who were so dedicated, not just to God, but dedicated to each other, and dedicated to the pilgrims who go to stay there. It's like they're like surrogate mothers. And I went to Vespers last night and Lourdes this morning, and then had Mass. It's a very deep and meaningful experience that you can't really put into words. And when you wake up in the morning and you have a landscape like this, I think it's what makes these journeys worthwhile. Yeah.
On the outskirts of the town of Viterbo are these amazing rock-hewn paths, cut into the tufa stone over 2,500 years ago and thought to relate to the Etruscan culture that created them in order to link settlements to necropoli. And here, on my way to Sutri, are the Orlando Towers, some of which were built by a favourite general of Charlemagne. Supposedly, two of these towers are actually monuments from the Roman period, and the other a bell tower from the 10th century. Sutri, an important location of the 4th and 3rd century BC Roman-Etruscan battles, was a location steeped in history, a history that was highly and spectacularly visible. But nothing would prepare me for what I was about to see just outside of town. Not only were there these caves filled with Christian shrines, unfortunately closed when I visited, but just around the corner was Roman and Etruscan architecture I never expected to see. Not only did I get to see a Roman amphitheatre from 1st century BC, but also these large and somewhat spooky Etruscan tombs, carved into the soft tufa stone and dating to around 500 BCE. Blundering around in the dark wasn't exactly what I had in mind, but when I eventually found the light, it revealed this stunning catacomb under the Cathedral of the Assumption of Mary, with its incredible Roman columns. Once again, I'm amazed at these deeply sacred spaces. Whether they're Etruscan tombs or vaulted catacombs beneath a cathedral, you feel the incredible depth of the well of history you've been plunged into.
People ahead of us.
I didn't. No. How far ahead?
Just up there with us, where it bends around at the top end.
As I reached the end of my journey, I found that a great comradeship had formed with fellow pilgrims.
Nearly there.
People of different ages and nationalities bond in a way they never would in our day-to-day lives. But here, our biases are forgotten and friendships made that will last a lifetime.
We're nearly there. We'll see it. I've been walking now since 29th of September. Might not seem that long a journey, but it's I've been walking now for nearly 3 weeks, and I finally made it to Rome, the eternal city. It's can't believe it. Look at that.
It won't get any better, will it?
It's been a journey. Physical and spiritual and mental ups and downs. But I've done it. Thank you, God. Thank you.
After all these years of studying ancient Rome, to finally be here in the eternal city feels like something from a dream. To be able to gaze upon ancient roads, Trajan's Column, the Pantheon, and of course the Colosseum makes it all seem so much more real. And it makes me think, will the remains that we leave behind be viewed by future generations in the same way? How will we be remembered? As I look at the Colosseum, I think about the many people who were butchered in the name of entertainment and a lust for blood. Has anything really changed? If we look at our culture today, can we really say that our entertainment is any better? We may have fictionalised the blood and guts, but it still appeals to that base desire, a desire for destruction. When I enter the Vatican, I'm reminded of what our dedication as human beings can accomplish. Just like this pilgrimage, the people who constructed it were driven by something bigger and more infinite than anything this modern world has to offer. Religious or not, you can't help but marvel at this achievement, driven by something deep within us. And as I end my journey, with my pilgrim's passport filled with stamps, I've begun to realise that our whole lives are a pilgrimage. Yes, there's a beginning and an end, but it's the bit in the middle that's the most important, and ultimately the reason we get up each morning and face whatever life throws at us. And to quote the Greco-Roman philosopher Epictetus, every habit and faculty is formed or strengthened by the corresponding act. Walking makes you walk better. Running makes you a better runner. If you want to be literate, read. If you want to be a painter, paint. Go a month without reading, occupied with something else, and you'll see what the result is. And if you're laid up a mere 10 days, when you get up and try to walk any distance, you'll find your legs barely able to support you. So if you like doing something, do it regularly. If you don't like doing something, make a habit of doing something different.